The story starts in the flats. The big boys leaned against their backs, surrounding the room, some puffing fumes. If only they knew what was gonna happen soon. Anyway, I assumed they knew June. It was her birthday, day of celebrations. No one knew that there was gonna be commiserations. It weren't a big house, 3 bedrooms, nice front room, nice size, filled up with hood rats. Some nice guys left the house with the manners that the house taught them. Some left with those hammers that the streets taught them. In the back of their mind, memories that distraught them. They had to deal with mash-up situations life brought them. You can say in their hearts they've gone a bit colder. As they're older, they got potatoes on their shoulder. Not chips, nah, they got clips, they want to empty. And when it comes to bravery, these youth have got plenty. But the vibes was all good, it was all blessed. Most of them were there to have a good time and ignore stress. But even though the house was quite ram out, if you were to come from another manor, you would stand out. But it was all good. Everyone was from the same hood, same road, same town, same code. Some of them were so tight, they even rocked the same clothes. Some of them were so hype, you couldn't tame those. But we all knew that June was quite vocal. Not everyone that was gonna come was gonna be local. So by no surprise, we meet next guys from next estates. They were far from best mates with the guys previously mentioned, but they chose to stay and hold their corner. They weren't caring about the tension, didn't show no signs of apprehension, even though they knew that any given time these guys were gonna test them. So they're screwing, searching for the weakest one first and thinking to themselves, what, should we eat this one first? Yeah. Go over there, give that one a barge. If he tries to give it large, then us man are gonna charge. But wait, why is it that everywhere we decide to go, you always kick her for show? This time I'm not on it, no. Come on now, brethren, listen up. Are you a friend or a foe? I'm a friend to the end, but their excitement has to go. Now when it comes to combat, he was usually on that. These boys were shocked when they heard him say, you know what, long that. And really that ain't what they want to hear. They were thinking he was shook. That means an element of fear was shown. Or does it mean he's wised up, mentality has grown? They weren't caring, they were in the zone. They were patiently waiting to catch one of them on their own. And if they tried to give static, the fists will get thrown. See, the opportunity came as time tick-tocked on, getting closer to their victims, but they didn't clock on. See, the predators thought they were winning, but in reality believe there's more than one villain. It starts, they're roughing and scuffing, they're tired, huffing and puffing. The one left on his back was the one who said he wanted nothing to do with it. But before he knew it, on the floor, them boys from the other manor, yeah, they were out the door. Roughing and scuffing, they're tired, huffing and puffing. The one left on his back was the one who said he wanted nothing to do with it. But before he knew it, he was on the floor. And them boys from the other manor, yeah, they were out the door. His brethren were raging. They can't even save him. He's on the floor now, about 5 minutes ago, he was raving. His boy looks at him with a face that is saying, forgive me. He replies back by saying, brethren, the blade is still in me. And he weren't even lying. Birthday girl's crying. Got someone she don't even know in the front room dying. Always on the hype, but tonight weren't their night, and now they're screaming, whatever you do, don't walk towards the light. For some of you that might not know me, my name is James Adu, and I get the absolute privilege of running a coaching company that works with students and staff teams nationwide called Interscope. When I work with students and staff teams, I get the privilege of delivering spoken word poetry. I get to tell stories in a lyrical fashion. This particular piece is very, very special to me, and it's very, very distinct, and this is why. I wrote this piece when I was 17. I'm 33 now. At the beginning of 2020, in January, I was invited to speak at a roundtable event about the lack of diversity in children's literature. And it got me thinking about a variety of things. It got me thinking about all the stories I could have told of as a 17-year-old. Why did I choose to tell the story about a stabbing? Now, at that point in time in my life, unfortunately, and where I grew up, many of you that are familiar with my content knew I grew up in Islington, North London, a place that I love dearly to this day. But unfortunately, when I was growing up, the story I told was almost like the same old story. So when I had the privilege of being able to address decision makers and leaders in the education sector and beyond about making sure that there's a positive and more of a prominent representation of cultural diversity in children's literature, I jumped at the task. See, when I wrote that particular piece, again, I was 17. But when I spoke at that particular conference, I was about 32, and I had just become a father. I've got my own son that's growing up. So best believe I'm gonna be doing what I can to champion just the importance of diversity in children's literature, 110%. That's one of the things that this particular video is about. But there's a variety of other things it's about. I guess a really key thing that I'm really passionate about is that even when I shared that story, you know, and you imagine the places and the characters in the story, I wonder how they looked like. I wonder if when you envision these young people on a council estate getting involved in a violent altercation, I wonder if when you imagined the characters in this story, I wonder if they look like me when you envisioned this story as I was telling the story. And again, as a 17-year-old at the time, it was taken for granted, they did. But when I reflect, I think there's something quite powerful taking place. The thing is, that particular piece was an expression of my creative imagination. And yet it was informed by assumptions and I guess quite significant symbols of society at the time and my environment at the time. What I'm saying is this: we have an amazing opportunity to appeal to artisans, authors, creatives from the global majority to say, bring new narratives, bring new stories. And it's amazing to know that there's organizations like Pearson that want to be a lot more intentional about how they can go about representing cultural diversity in the literature. I'm just doing my part as someone that works in the ed sector this is partly to just maintain accountability, to say yes, heard that. For some of you that don't know, the roundtable event that I spoke at was called Plotting Ahead. There is an update on the report. Please read the report. Please read the report and please get the word out that we want to hear new narratives. We want to hear amazing different stories that are an expression of cultural diversity, and particularly from artisans that might look like me and come from the background that I came from. It would be great to hear new stories where actually, I guess the crux of the narrative isn't about a death, but it's about life. So I'm just appealing to artisans from the black community, the Asian community, from the global majority, that if you're there, if you're a budding author, a budding poet, we want to hear your stories. And again, it was a privilege to speak at that event, and speaking at that event as a father of a young baby black boy, it just resonates slightly different. So I do want to, actually acknowledge Pearson's work and their ability and their willingness to shift and to really critically reflect on some of these issues. That's massively appreciated. But I also want to appeal to the storytellers from the black community, from my community and beyond, that actually it would be amazing that when children go to school and they pick up a book, they see people that look like them, telling stories that inspire them. So yeah, it's a bit of a random rant, but it's just off the back of the fact that a report has come out from that roundtable event. Really, really exciting stuff. And again, I just want to also acknowledge all the amazing practitioners and researchers that were involved. So yeah, all the best.